Okay, let's unpack this. We've all watched MiniMax grow, from a really promising startup into a major player, but 2025 wasn't just another chapter of growth for them. It was a seismic shift. They pivoted from being that venture-backed darling to what our sources are now calling pretty unequivocally a globally recognized full-stack AI platform.
It was a fascinating year to watch. I mean,
Yeah.
we're really calling 2025 the year of MiniMax.
Hmm.
And it was defined by these two gigantic simultaneous waves of activity. First, you had this radical innovation with their M2 and M2.1 models. And second, just an aggressive, really well-funded market expansion, a definitive move to financial maturity.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is to really extract the key strategic implications. We need to connect the dots. How does this new agent-centric model architecture actually translate into financial strength? And what does this whole package mean for you, whether you're a developer, an investor, or, a consultant trying to map out the global AI landscape?
The thing that stands out immediately is just the speed and the confidence of their execution. They didn't just quietly release a new version. They launched a global campaign, and it was funded by some truly blue-chip backing. Let's start with the money, because that capital injection is what really validated their entire global position.
That signal was loud and clear. The successful Hong Kong IPO. This wasn't just another funding round. It was a landmark event for the entire Chinese AI sector. They targeted a massive capital raise, over $600 million. It just immediately validated their valuation.
Right. And if you look past the dollar figure, the validation really comes from who backed it.
Yeah.
We're talking major strategic investors, Alibaba, which you'd sort of expect, but also the Abu Dhabi Sovereign Wealth Fund, Mubadala. I mean, this is institutional money, sovereign wealth money. That signals long-term confidence in stability, in high-margin enterprise potential.
That's a huge point. Securing sovereign wealth backing is so different from traditional venture capital. It's not just a war chest, it's geopolitical and institutional credibility, especially when you're targeting, say, complex European and Middle Eastern enterprise clients. They demand that stability.
It immediately moves them out of that, high-flying startup perception,
Yeah.
puts them right in the category of a mature, full-stack competitor that can sit at the table with the biggest global incumbents. They have the capital and the mandate now to push that strategy globally.
And that strategy is meticulously defined. It's called the global land and expand strategy. It's not a scattergun approach at all. The goal is to build this resilient, geographically diverse user base by targeting very specific tech hubs.
Yeah, they knew exactly where they needed to be to capture talent and enterprise adoption. They focused on Japan, Miami, London, Oxford, and Hong Kong. This isn't just about getting users. It's about accessing talent pools, tailoring their offering to local regulations, and really building a foundation for long-term global share.
Okay, so the war chest is full, the geopolitical backing is secure, but a war chest is kind of useless without a revolutionary superweapon. Let's shift to the core product that this money is supporting. Here's where it gets really interesting, the M2 series. What makes this model architecture so fundamentally different?
It represents a fundamental architectural shift. The M2 and M2.1, they're not just iterative improvements on a chatbot. Their whole design philosophy shifted to being agent-centric. They're explicitly optimized for creating and managing AI agents, for handling structured coding tasks. It's a move beyond that general conversational interface.
So they're moving away from general knowledge query to specialized reliable execution.
Precisely, and they designed the architecture for that reliability. The M2 model is an open-source mixture of experts and MOE under an MIT license. Now, for you, the listener, an MOE it's essentially like having a team of specialized submodels working together, not just one massive generalist brain.
And that specialization is key for efficiency, right? The headline number is 229 billion parameters, but only 10 billion are active at any one time. That sounds efficient, but are they sacrificing depth or context retention for that speed?
And that's the critical trade-off that MOE models often face. But MiniMax addressed it directly. M2 uses what's called a full attention model across its active parameters. So an analogy might be, if a sparse model is like a person in a long meeting, they might forget key details from the beginning. That's context dropout.
Which, if you're building a financial trading agent, is fatal.
Exactly. The full attention model ensures maximum context retention, maximum reasoning accuracy. It makes the model reliable enough for these demanding multi-step agent tasks where losing the original query is just not an option.
And that reliability is then taken to the next level with M2.1 and interleaved thinking. That phrase sounds like pure jargon. Can you walk us through what this actually solves for a developer?
It solves the pain of complex manual tool chaining. It's a huge headache. Before, if a developer wanted an agent to do a multi-step task like analyze stock data, check Twitter sentiment, then draft a summary, they had to write these incredibly brittle chains of prompts and tools. Interleaved thinking automates that whole process.
So it takes the developer out of managing the flow of logic. The model handles it internally.
It does. It actually alternates between different cognitive processes during generation. So let's trace that stock request. The query comes in, and first it hits what they call thinking block 1. That's all about planning, identifying intent, and figuring out what tools it needs.
Then what happens?
It kicks off parallel tool execution. It's smart enough to know it can run stock lookup and the sentiment analysis at the same time. It doesn't wait sequentially. Raw data streams back in, and that's the signal to shift gears.
So it doesn't just spit out the raw data.
No, not at all. It shifts to thinking block 2. This is the interleaved synthesis phase. The model integrates the external data with the initial plan, cross-references it, and generates the conclusion. Only after that synthesis is done does it output the final structured report. This makes M2.1 just immediately practical for sophisticated automation. A massive advantage.
And agents don't just live in text-only worlds. They need eyes and ears. Which brings us right to their multimodal dominance, the complete creative suite they built around M2.
Yeah, they moved incredibly fast on this. They solidified their lead in video with Hailuo Video 2.3, the low-latency fast version, and they integrated it immediately into professional pipelines through partners like VE and Capwing. So it's a production-grade tool, not a toy.
And on the audio side, Speech 2.6 and SpeechEra 2 are talking ultra-realistic AI voices, 30-plus languages, and crucially, low-latency, real-time conversation. That partnership with Retail AI, for example, that shows they're targeting real-time voice-to-voice apps.
And then, by adding Music 2.0, they closed the media pipeline gap. But here's the real strategic benefit for a developer. They funneled all of this capability, text, audio, video, into a single unified API.
Wow. That reduction in friction has to be enormous. If I'm a platform builder, I don't want to manage 3 separate APIs, different billing, different latency.
It changes everything for speed to market. It standardizes the developer experience, it dramatically cuts integration time, and critically, it centralizes cost management. Platform builders can deploy complex multimodal features almost instantly. They can focus on the application, not the plumbing.
Which leads us right to their revenue strategy. API monetization, high margin consumption. So they have the superior architecture, they've removed the friction with the API, now they bring in strategic pricing.
And the pricing is aggressive, it has to be. Their tiers for the M2 series are designed specifically to displace incumbents in the agent encoding markets. It's all about a superior price-to-performance ratio. They're betting their internal cost efficiencies, which we'll get to let them undercut rivals, and still keep healthy margins.
And they're backing that bet with some serious ecosystem investment. They launched that $150,000 AI Agent Challenge, basically an incentive lottery to cultivate that developer community, and the AWS X MiniMax Hackathon, which links them directly to the biggest cloud ecosystem out there.
It's a classic platform playbook,
Okay.
right? Provide the best tools cheaply, create powerful financial incentives for people to innovate, and then let the developers build your market for you.
That feels like a complete airtight strategy. But the piece that really surprised us, the real structural insight that ties us all together, is what was happening inside the company. We have to talk about their internal efficiency, the secret weapon.
This is where MiniMax goes from just a high-growth company to one engineered for a structural competitive advantage. At WAIC 2025, the CEO, Yan Junji, revealed some internal AI adoption stats that are, well, they're frankly game-changing for a company at this scale.
Let's hit those numbers again because they are hard to wrap your head around. 70% of MiniMax's internal code is now AI-generated or AI-supported, and 90% of their internal data analysis is supported by AI. They're using their own platform to build itself.
Think about the financial implications of that. If you can automate 70% of your core R&D function, your coding team, your cost of innovation just collapses.
Yeah.
It creates this profound structural margin advantage. Their R&D costs are not linear. While competitors need to hire hundreds more engineers to build the next model, MiniMax uses their own M2 models to speed up their own cycle.
And that cost reduction is passed right on to the customer. It justifies that aggressive API pricing we were talking about. They can afford to be cheaper because their operational expenses are fundamentally lower. This is operational scalability. They can expand rapidly without linear headcount growth.
It fundamentally changes the business model. And the second implication is iteration speed. If your internal tools can generate and test code that fast, your speed for model iteration and feature deployment becomes this massive competitive weapon. They can push updates and new capabilities far quicker than incumbents who are stuck on a traditional R&D timeline.
This internal efficiency is then complemented so beautifully by their external community cultivation. And it isn't just fluffy marketing. Those global masterclasses in major tech cities, they're not just selling, they're creating deep technical fluency in the developer community.
And you can't overlook the AI education initiatives for underprivileged youth in Hong Kong. That builds long-term brand equity. And critically, it secures a long-term pipeline of skilled users who are fluent in the MiniMax ecosystem from day one.
They've engineered the entire organism to be robust. I think you used the term anti-fragile before we started. For an investor or consultant, how do we define that here? Anti-fragility means they don't just withstand shocks, they get stronger from volatility. Their internal AI supports rapid iteration when competitors apply pressure. And their diverse global user base provides this constant feedback loop and social capital. Any stress or market demand they face is immediately absorbed and converted into rapid internal improvement. They use external turbulence to get better.
So what does this all mean for you? Let's quickly synthesize the core value proposition for those three key profiles.
Right. For the tech professional, MiniMax is setting a new performance standard. They are leading with these hyper-efficient, agent-centric models with interleaved thinking and that single unified API. It's all about robust, practical deployment.
And for the investor, that successful IPO, the blue chip backing from Alibaba and Mubadala, it confirms MiniMax's status as a high-growth, high-stability asset. It's got a structural cost advantage and a clear path to gaining enterprise market share. And finally, for the consultant looking at strategic resilience, MiniMax is a textbook case study. They've married aggressive community engagement with a deep, internal AI-driven efficiency that ensures market resilience and low-cost scalability.
So what should you, the listener, be mulling over as you look at the competitive landscape for 2026? The company's unique advantage, it isn't just their tech or their IPO, it's that radical reduction in the cost of innovation, driven by using AI to generate 70% of their own code.
That structural cost differential is the new battlefield. So what are the long-term implications for companies still relying on traditional linear R&D growth hiring hundreds of expensive engineers when a competitor like MiniMax can effectively slash their development time and cost by relying on AI to write most of their own code base? That innovation gap is massive, and it's what MiniMax is set up to exploit for years to come.
That's a powerful thought to end on. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into MiniMax's global transformation. We hope this gave you the key insights you need.